Hello and welcome to the Durham Talents Channel. My name is Jesse Durham. Today's episode is going to be a conversation that I had with my buddy JR. He's someone that I met a little over a year ago when he was vetting this idea of becoming his own banker, and he implemented the concept, and he asked to get in my calendar and us record and have a conversation. He wanted to take the conversation in some directions in the book, Becoming Your Own Banker book, and about his own experience. We had a great time in that conversation, and I hope that you enjoy. All right, well, listen, I know that you were the one that reached out to me about having a conversation together, so whether this is one of, more than one, I'm okay with that. So, I see you, I hear you, you see me, and you hear me. You let me know where you'd like to take this conversation. If it's something that I can use on my podcast, if you let me, depending on how we go with it, I will. Otherwise, we'll just line up another call later, too, and do another one, right? So how about I just let you do what it is that you wanted to do?
Yeah. Depending on the time, we can have a part two. I was kind of shooting for like 10 minutes just to get a quick, just like an introductory kind of type of deal. And then, cover these things, and then we can go into depth a little more as far as, like terminology, like the MEX, and, as far as like those type of things, get in more to the book. Cause what I got a list of the things that I would like to go over. Yes, sir. I got some things that I would like to go over, but I want it to be more of an introductory, and then like a book, to where you have the prologue, you got chapter 1 or introduction chapter 1, and by that time you in the chapter 5 and you already locked in and you know what's going on. Okay. Interesting. All right. Well,
I've got my pen and paper ready too. And anytime that anybody else shows me that they're paying attention and that they're writing things down, I love that. And I'm really curious about what you have written down and what is on your mind. So you tell me, do you want to introduce yourself? I introduce myself. How do you want to kick it off?
Yeah. So I'm Josh, of course. I've been a policy holder for a year now. I just come across the banking bro system and the infinite banking just one night. Curious about where I wanted to take my life with just everything that's involved with a policy and the benefits of the policy. And it's got me where I'm at today.
So you found it on social media, right?
Yeah.
Which is so cool. So my name's Jesse, and I'm a coach with the Cash Compound, which is the agency that the Banking Bros, Jeremiah do and Jonah do, of course, are the Banking Bros, and then I'm one of the coaches at the Cash Compound. So I saw it differently. In 2015, I had a buddy of mine that I was doing business with said, "Hey, there's a guy coming into town talking about money, becoming your own banker. Let's go." So that was a buddy of mine, and that sounded like a good thing to do. And I just was at an open-minded time of life. I just started my first business, essentially, and I said yes. So I saw it that way. So that's neat for me to have transitioned from seeing, a stranger talking at the front of a room for an hour and a half with a bunch of other folks, some that I knew and some that I didn't know, to you now being able to find IBC online. That's a completely different world, but there's a lot of other stuff online too. So how about you talk about, any other part of your experience that you want to introduce this conversation? So you found it, you vetted it, you and I ended up having multiple conversations, right? You got into the book.
And it was really, and your knowledge on the whole deal made me feel comfortable enough to hand you over some money, and to get this going.
The insurance company.
That's the biggest thing. Right. Not you, but
that's right.
But your knowledge made me more comfortable with pursuing this.
Of course. Well, let me throw a line from the book at you. All right, the Becoming Your Own Banker book. This is a philosophy that I've adopted. Nash says, when you know what's going on, you'll know what to do. So that's why everybody at the Cash Compound too, we lead with education. We lead with just helping folks be aware of what's going on, because when they know what to do, they'll be the ones that want to write the check to start this private banking system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it.
So, so on my list of deals, you know, I got some steps into it. So the focus that I would like to key in on is you know, of course it's, you know, infinite banking, but the financial literacy aspect of what it is, you know, because people hear that and, you know, they kind of, probably a million things run through their mind. So if we could focus on, you know, the financial literacy and what it takes to get a policy and all of that stuff just in the beginning, that'd be great. And, you know, I would like, you know, this is going to be informative video for, you know, people. I'm trying to break it down simple as possible. So, just to be clear, are you a CPA or are you, this is not financial advice.
That's right.
But
yeah, so I'm a licensed insurance agent is what I am. Right. I work at an independent brokerage, right? So I'm licensed, do business all over the country, but I exclusively am a life insurance agent to only do one thing, and that is to help people become their own banker.
Okay. All right.
So I wanted to ask you one question. You made me curious about something. I love your idea of talking about financial literacy. So what do you think the average person even thinks about financial literacy? Is that something on their mind? Where do you think the average person is at when it comes to financial literacy?
I think that most people would be like me before all of this. I think that most people would think dividing and percentages and numbers and big words that they never heard of when people talk about financial literacy, which is true to an extent because, you know, I have several financial advisors and I'm going to be getting with him. But as far as just the whole terminology, you know, I picture a dictionary and the biggest words is what financial literacy is to me. And that's what I think most people think financial literacy is. Okay.
That's interesting that you're taking the conversation this direction. I recently, meaning within the past couple of months, I want to say, started what I'm calling an encyclomedia. Kind of a play on words on encyclopedia, right? I started an encyclomedia. Okay, thank you. Good. Well, give me some feedback. I started this encyclomedia series on my YouTube channel and podcast so that bit by bit, when people do come across terms, they could evaluate it and learn about it, in particularly for the purpose of, you know, becoming your own banker.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad you saw that. All right.
Yeah.
What's your feedback? I'm an open book. I've not arrived. I'm still working on things. Is it helpful?
My idea is let's get these questions out there and get the people informed, because that's my goal too. If you know, and right here we got matching goals, so that should tell you something. And I've gotten with I have a financial index fund account, and me and that guy gets together every once in a while and we agree to do some videos and he is a financial, you know, CPA deal to where, you know, I can ask the questions and he can give the answers, and he can also inform on what he does and what he knows. And, you know, because my idea is when I got into it was, you know, I thought health insurance was what you needed. It covered the death part. It was everything that you needed. Then I was like, all right, I got a retirement. Then I thought a retirement was everything that you needed, and then it gets you to go. And then I got life insurance, and then I thought that was everything that you needed, and you'd be good to go. But as my journey progressed, I learned that the life insurance deal is a big key to what you want and what you need. But when you, as far as like financial literacy, like I've just learned to put that in a trust and to have the beneficiary in the trust so that there's no complications when something happens, and, you know, working your way to this infinite banking system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I always encourage everybody, talk to all the pertinent professionals in your life, right? Because some people, they're running a business and they're making active investments, and becoming your own banker, that's the most simple thing. That's literally just adding one step to what you normally would do otherwise. Everything is financed, and normally we do our financing with commercial banks or we pay cash. Well, what we teach folks is that, well, you could be your own banker. So, you know, not taking any additional risk, not losing control. Just do one more thing on top of what it is that you're already doing, whether you run a household, business, investor, whatever. But whatever it is that you are doing, talk to those pertinent professionals that are relevant to what it is that you're doing. They're there for you. Right, exactly, for sure. Yeah. But financing, I mean, that's the big one, right? Because that's where everything comes home, because businesses are financed. Everything we do in our households is financed. All of our investments are financed. So I just am all about empowering folks to do exactly what you first brought up, which is become financially literate. And I think the most actionable thing that the average person could do is become their own banker.
Yeah. So, you know, I wanted to use this as an introductory piece, so I wanted to get a little more into the more specifics of a policy. So, here I got a few bullet points. The health conditions, you know, in getting the policy, any pre-health conditions, should people be worried about that? And low cost, what they can expect to fund the policy, and the book. Having that book and understanding and reading that book, how it all helps you. And then we can get into maturing the policy and the self-banking, you know.
Man, you just threw 4 big conversation topics at me, and we could spend half an hour or more on each one of them.
Right.
Let me give you the bullet points back and share my thoughts when you mention this. So we can talk about what I heard you say was the process of the application. Let's talk about that first. Mm-hmm. So I like leading with this idea. Remember this. If a 20-year-old, a 40-year-old, and a 60-year-old go into get life insurance, they go into the box store and they talk to the box store life insurance agent and say, hey, I want a policy. They're going to get a different amount of death benefit based on their age, right? The 20-year-old will get more. Yeah. The 60-year-old will get less, and the 40-year-old be somewhere in the middle. Well, take those same people, though, JR, the 20-year-old, the 40-year-old, the 60-year-old, give them $20 and send them to a grocery store. Do they walk out with different amounts of groceries? Or don't they just get the same amount of groceries for their $20? Because $20 spends like $20 spends.
$20, yeah.
Right. So that's the difference, of course, is, you know, we're teaching people how to become your own banker, as described in that book. So that's just me tagging on one of your other bullet points, right? Which was this book called Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. Banking is at the core of what we're doing. If $20 spends like $20 does for everybody, great. What we talk about is how to own the banking function in your life, how to control the banking function in your life, and how to profit from the banking function in your life instead of these banks making all the money on our money. Right. So it's more about it. Yeah. So the application part matters, right? Like everybody's health's different, height, weight, all those different things. But either way, if you can own a properly structured whole life policy with a mutual company that pays dividends, if you could own that to be able to spend the $20, like I'm trying to connect the dots here, like just to be able to spend $20. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years old. Doesn't matter if you're 40 years old. Doesn't matter if you're 60 years old, right? Because the $20 spends like the $20 does. And we just use that policy for our private banking system because it's a private piece of property that we own and control.
Yeah, it's a great asset to have in your portfolio.
Yeah. Well, and wealth must reside somewhere, right? Like we earn how we earn. where does that money reside? Where should we be building capital? I would say private property is best, especially when it has all the attributes. And I feel like that would be a good point to talk about. But you mentioned all this other stuff. So I tried to reference the book, the application process. It looks like it does for everybody, right? Like you fill out an application, you stand on a scale and you pee in a cup and you give a little blood and you talk about your medications and all this other stuff like anybody would for life insurance. But at the end of the day, that's not where we start. We don't start with an application. We start just like you and I did, where I say, hey, JR, what are you doing in the wide world? What are your goals? What are your plans? Right. What are your aspirations? What do you know about this infinite banking concept? What kind of research and study have you done into it? Okay, now run those questions by me, all right, so that I can help your understanding of this concept. And then we could talk about how to go through the process of building you a custom policy for you to be able to own and use in your life. But it all starts with, again, going back to financial literacy, I would say just understanding what's going on so you'll know what to do.
Right.
All right, was that helpful? I tried to tackle these bullet points that you gave me real quick.
Yeah, definitely. And later on we can get into one of the examples in the book about the grocery store deal, to where we'll get into it later, but it's the grocery store concept, to where it's a great example, and hopefully it'll open the eyes of a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I'll plant this seed now. The idea of being both a consumer, because we're all consumers. We got to pay money for things, and that's why I gave that example about the 20-year-old, 40-year-old, and 60-year-old going into a grocery store. We all got to put gas in the car. We all got to put groceries in the fridge. We all want to take a vacation. We all got to deal with taxes, and we maybe want to make investments and all this other stuff, right? But instead of just being a consumer, what if we could also be an owner at the same time? Okay, so what if we could be doing good things with our money, like keeping it, like avoiding any unnecessary taxes, like hedging against inflation, and all kinds of stuff like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
While still being able to spend it at the same time.
Yeah. It's so many possibilities. Like you said, we can be on here for an hour or two just to break everything down and really understand and get the full benefit of the knowledge, because it's knowledge, and knowledge is half the battle, and applying it is, and man, but I don't want to hold you too long.
Listen, man, I gave you to the top of the hour. I'm going to ask a couple of things from you. If I'm not going to cut you short.
Okay.
I got a hard stop at the top of the hour, but that's okay for me. You let me know what time you have. Here's what I would say. I love what you just mentioned about knowledge. I believe, and it's been my experience, that people are either open to learning more or they're not. And at different points in life, we've got different things going on, and maybe we got the blinders on, and that's okay for a season. But if you're open to new ideas and you're open to considering what it could look like for you to become your own banker, I think it's the most profitable thing you could choose to do in your lifetime, right? But then the second part of what you said was, well, applying it. What good does it do us to read this book and realize that we could become our own banker if we don't do anything about it? Well, one of the guys that I love the most in this space, James Nethery, he says it's all conversation until somebody writes a check.
Yeah.
It's all conversation until somebody writes a check.
And as a small business owner, I think I mentioned to you that I have a business. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing, man. Like, I wanted to touch on that too. Being a small business owner, you can set up multiple policies,
Of course.
That most people don't understand that. They think they can just be one and done. If you can set up multiple policies, set them up for your children. It's not just for you. It's almost infinite, It's just like,
good play on words there. I see what you did. I see what you did. Infinite, throwing in infinite. Well, all right. So me and my wife got started with one policy. Sure, we got our first policy in 2016. We own 6 to date so far. So we've grown and scaled a private family banking system. But look at what the commercial banks are doing. Aren't banks in every nice little town? I bet they're out there where you're at, JR, too, aren't they? Like they are here in South Carolina, where I am.
I got 2-3 bank accounts.
You know, so these banks are everywhere. They're opening up branches all over the place. Why wouldn't we grow and scale what we can privately do? Absolutely. All right, so let me ask this, because this is one of the directions I wanted to go, is tell us, or anybody listening, because you're such a relatable guy, you're just such a down-to-earth guy, what is it that you do? Who are you? Just give us a little bit of, you mentioned, okay, business owner, you work for yourself in different things, but that's not all you do. So just share whatever it is you would share.
So I'm pretty much independent, single male, college dropout. But that got me into the field that I was working in. I got into the construction field, became a commercial driver, and, you know, my brain got to going crazy, and I started my own business. And that is more of in the crypto space, the smart contract company. And, you know, like you said, I got to asking myself who I was and what I would leave behind and what exactly would be, you know, the long-term goal. And that's when I just, you know, I ran into you guys. And that's pretty much who I am, you know.
I appreciate the conversations that we've had, that we've, you know, had about you talking about, you know, how you feel about family and how you think multi-generationally. And I love that. I mean, I'll work with any individual, right? They're just doing their own thing. They want financial independence and autonomy. But I always like it when we can think bigger picture, and we can think about what we could do intergenerationally and, you know, making things better for the next generation while making things better for ourselves. I mean, great. But when you can do both at the same time, I like that. Okay, awesome. All right, so you've given a little bit about who you are. You showed up with all kinds of preparation on. Well, Jesse, let's talk about premium. Let's talk about the application process and the book. And I appreciate you mentioning specific stuff like the grocery store. And I'd love to have conversations about your journey and anything that connects to the book, because I know that folks see and hear with social media, just like you did, right? Just like you did nowadays, folks see and hear so many things, and Nash calls that the noise, right? Like back in the day, it would have just been Dave Ramsey on the radio, and he's still there, and his platform's done nothing but got bigger, just to give an example, right? But there are all these voices, there's all this noise out there, and I love the simplicity of the book, like you being able to reference right now, just normal guy, all right? Running his business, working hard, doing what you're doing in life, and realizing that grocery store example is something that we could actually just live by. It's something that we could actually implement, that we could be an owner and a consumer at the same time and be better off for it. If we'll be willing to read the book, you know, like you said, if we'll be willing to then apply what we learned.
I had the book on audio, you know. Yeah, I got the book on audio and listened to it, and I need to start reading more. So I'm gonna read it a couple more times. I'm gonna go through it a couple more times. So yeah, and that's something that you encourage me to do as well, is, you know, go through the book multiple times, because, you know, you get to see it from different aspects, you know, as you grow and as you mature in what you are doing. So yeah, I'm working on my next go around on getting in the book.
Right. Because when you and I first connected, we had, you know, 2, 3, 4, however many phone calls we did, and you did get started, but that's been a year ago now. So now you've got a year experience under your belt of paying premiums, making policy loans, staying around this campfire of learning these terms and understanding the stuff at a deeper level, like you're saying. And also just because time's gone by, you have more experience now.
Yeah. And to be honest, man, I wasn't too sure and confident in myself with that. But to hear you say it, and, you know, I really made the premium payments and took out loans, and it's just like, it was no problem, you know? So, yeah, man, that's crazy to hear. You know, I don't really think about it too much because, I've been rolling with life's punches, but yeah, it's real. It's true.
Yeah.
This is a real thing.
It's a lot easier to roll with life's punches when you're your own banker. You know, I'll say it this way. I talk to people about two big categories often enough, and it's life will throw you hardships. That's just what it's going to do. It's going to throw hardships your way. Also, it will throw you opportunities. And in both those situations, if you're your own banker, if you control and profit from the banking function in your life, and a hardship comes and you've proactively been building capital where you got guaranteed access to that compounding pool of capital, that's positioning you to be able to weather that storm, right? Then same thing, vice versa, opportunity. You know, I got a client that'll call me up and they'll say, hey, and I had an opportunity to buy this truck because I had that money in my policy. And this guy made me an offer that I didn't know he was going to make. But he said, hey, I'm looking to offload this truck. And he said, and I got the truck, you know, because he had ready, guaranteed, accessible access to capital. So hardships, you know, and opportunities, they're going to come for all of us. And I like getting text messages, you know, from clients like you that say, hey, this is what's going on. You know, I love that communication too. So I appreciate it all, man.
That's funny that you mentioned that, man, because my birthday was last week. And I was presented with an opportunity. Thank you. I was presented with an opportunity to buy my first semi. Bought my first semi on my birthday.
Oh, my goodness.
And
I didn't get a text message about that. I was talking about somebody else, and now you. Fantastic,
I know you man. So yeah, I did that, and yeah, man. It's just I feel confident that you know what I have going on with everything that I have going on, that I'll be all right, because that's what it's all about, man.
I love it.
So.
I love it, man. You should. Those are the kinds of text messages that I want to get. I want to hear about that kind of stuff. I love
know, man. I really
victories.
didn't tell anybody.
Okay.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I said I love celebrating my friends' victories. You know, I love hearing from a client and what they're doing. But okay, I understand it. You know, nose to the grindstone, work in silence. That's JR's type, maybe, I guess. But okay, congratulations.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, I don't want to overdo this, because I got some more bulletin points of some more in-depth stuff, but I think I'm gonna end it there. And,
I love it. Well, listen, you like always, of course, you know, reach out to me. Let me celebrate those wins with you. Number one, okay. I love hearing that kind of stuff. Okay, and then. Yeah, let's jump back in each other's calendars. Love to have another conversation with you. It's, you know, it's guys like you that are open-minded enough to hear this idea, to pursue it, you know, be intrigued enough to say, I am going to go read a book. I am going to line up a consultation call with somebody. I'm going to call that guy. I'm going to look into this myself. And then you do actually apply it, and you are actually implementing it in your life. And now we're having a conversation over a year later, right? Life-changing over a year later. And you're talking to me. You know, normally I'm the one trying to talk about the grocery store example to other people. And here you are wanting to talk to me about it. I love it. So I'm here for it. So I'll jump back in your schedule when we can line that up, okay? I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah. I'll be a little bit more prepared next time.
What you talking about? You had like half a dozen or more bullet points. You're like, Jesse, let's talk about this and that. Okay. All right. We'll do that. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. Take care.
All right, have a good day, sir. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Well, I really enjoyed my conversation with JR, and I hope that you got a lot of value out of that as well. If you would like to see our introductory presentation on what the infinite banking concept is, then make sure to check that out at our website. Also, my calendar link is there where you can book a call with me where we can talk about what it could look like for you to implement the infinite banking concept into your household, in your business, into your investing, whatever it is that you're doing in life. But this has been a great pleasure for me. Look forward to our next conversation. You can find me at durhamtalents.com. Have a great day. Take care.